Yo, what's going on, dudes? HK Titan here with a brand new video for you guys, and in today's video, I have something a little bit different planned for you guys because I'm going to be remastering another map in the BTD6 Map browser, but this time it's going to be truly random. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the newest tab. I'm going to click on, let's say, page 5, and I'm going to choose the map that is in the middle column and second from the top. So no matter what map it turns up, we're going to have to remaster that map. All right, so we need to go all the way over to page 5, and the second from the top, it looks like we're going to be remastering Cyan Rabbit 1071's map. Okay, so this one should be pretty interesting. Let me go ahead and take a look at this. All right, so it looks like they have a polar bear. The map itself is, or the pathway itself is pretty basic, but I kind of have a couple of ideas here. Like, I don't think, actually, you know what? Bro, I'm already getting a lot of inspiration. Okay, I know exactly what I want to do with this map. So, the first thing we have to do is we have to memorize the pathway. So, the pathway starts over here, it goes up here around a lake, and then it drops down here, it goes around the house. Okay, so that's not too hard of a pathway to pull off. So for the background, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to swap it over to the black background. That way I can get like the pathway set up the way that Cyan Rabbit has their pathway set up. All right, so this is going to be the basic layout of their map. Now, odds are I'm probably going to come through here and I'm going to do a little bit of, or a little something different here. Because like this pathway looks good, but I feel like we can do something a little bit more. Maybe I'll end up like adding another pathway, but I'm not exactly sure what exactly I want to do right now. This is like the only problem of like doing a completely random map. All right, so the background that we're gonna have to use is going to be winter. But before we do the winter, I want to get the pathway set up because it's going to be kind of hard to like see the pathway in the background. I don't know what I should use for the actual pathway itself. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of time here to like work on the pathway here. And then once they have like the pathway designed the way I want it to be designed, then I'll go ahead and bring you guys back. All right, so I didn't change too much with the actual pathway. The only thing I did with the pathway is I really liked the wavy patterns in the pathway because it almost made the like slate tracks a little bit more natural. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the wavy pattern for the actual pathway itself. And then I think what I want to do is I want to come through and to make the pathway a little bit brighter, I want to add another pathway underneath this one. That way, hopefully the pathway will stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and add another pathway. And then once I add another pathway, then we'll go ahead and start adding in all of the other features as well. All right, there we go. So we have 2 pathways set up. Now, one thing I did with this pathway is I made like certain spots in the pathway where the track was a little bit like offbeat because I wanted to make like the sleigh patterns a little bit like off-centered in some spots. Because I mean, if you're like riding the sleigh around, you're not going to be following the same exact trails. Like sometimes you're going to be off the trail a little bit. So I want to like kind of incorporate that in like some of the spots around the track. Now it's not like major, but there are a couple of spots where I try to incorporate it. All right, so now the next thing I want to do is I'm debating on whether or not I want to add a third pathway. Now, if I add a third pathway, I'll add like another trail, but I don't know if I want to do it yet. I don't think we actually need it. Let's go and see how the background looks. Okay, so it's definitely starting to pop out a little bit more because I added the double track, which is exactly what we wanted. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and add the, wait, now we need this. We need to come over here to the ice area. And then with this area, we're going to make it so like the sleigh trail goes around the ice. And I think that would look really, really cool. Also, I was debating on like having like a section where like the sleigh goes over the ice, but I don't know if I actually want to do that. I think what I want to do is I just want to stick with like the same basic theme or the same basic setup that Cyan had, where we have the sleigh go around this small ice lake, and then there's another lake over here in the top left. Right now, one obstacle I'm really going to have with this map is trying to make this really deep blue blend into the background. Like, that's something that I'm like not exactly sure how to do yet. Like, I think I'll have to add like a couple of like icicles over here in the water and I think I can make it happen, but we're gonna have to work a little bit with it because it's my first time trying to do it. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to add a little house right here. Then after we add that little house, we can go ahead and add a little bit more detail to this ice as well. All right, so I went ahead and I added a couple more details here. I added our little like cabin next to the lake. I also added a couple of trees. Now, I didn't want to go like too crazy before I brought you guys back, but I really want to add some more trees on this map because I feel like the map that Cyan created was just a little bit too barren, and we can definitely add a little bit more life if we just take a little bit more time to add some more detail. So I have all of the props that he has placed down for the most part, apart from like stickers, and we still need to add a couple more penguins as well. But I definitely have a couple of different ideas for the penguins, as well as a really cool idea for the polar bear as well. So my first idea is to create a cave up here in the top left. Because you guys know me, I really like creating caves, and I think it would be really cool if we added a cave with the polar bear, because even though polar bears enjoy the cold, they definitely enjoy getting out of the weather every now and then. So let's go ahead and work on creating a cave for the polar bear. Now, you guys already know the deal with the cave. I'm gonna start on the very outside, and then I'll start working my way towards the inside. Though I just don't know how big I want to make the mountain over here yet. Like, it's probably not going to be like too big, but we can definitely make it pretty massive. So let's go ahead and raise this rock up, and then let me see, what would be like a really good spot for rock? I think I'm gonna have to like make it a dual rock height. So, or not a dual rock height, but a dual rock like entrance. Yeah. So if we do this, and then the next thing I have to do is I have to like make this blend in a little bit better. Let me see, how can I do that? I think I have to tilt this up a little bit. There we go. I think that looks pretty cool. Now the next thing I want to do, I want to go ahead and like kind of make the cave blend in a little bit better. So let's go ahead and add a couple more rocks here. I want to make like the cave entrance like decently sized, but I don't want to make it like too big, because then if we make it like too big, then it's gonna look a little bit weird, right? All right, and I think I really like the way that that looks. Now, the next thing I want to do, I want to go ahead and start adding a little bit of shade here as well. Now, with the shade, we want to like kind of like transition from like really dark to like not as dark. And if we do this, that should end up working out quite nicely. And there we go. So now the big thing that we have to do, we have to rotate this a little bit. Now we're gonna probably have to copy it, and we're gonna have to like do this. That way it looks like a little bit of a better cave entrance. And to be honest, I think I have to remove a little bit of the shadow over here, and like trying to find like the sweet spot for like the like gray spot and then like the really dark spot is like kind of difficult. But I think that looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and move the polar bear away a little bit. And then I think I like the way that this little cave looks. Yeah, that definitely looks way better. All right, so now the next thing I want to do, I want to go ahead and add a little bit more detail up here to this blue area. And this is where my idea for the penguins is going to come in, because I think it would be really cool if we add like a couple of the glacials, the like broken off ice over here in this big pond, because then it wouldn't make the transition like so abrupt, right? So if we add like something like this up here, and then we add ourselves like a couple of smaller ones as well, I think this would end up looking really, really, really cool. And this would like take away from that like really empty like blue sea. And then we can also move the penguins over on top of these little platforms as well. And I think by having the penguins on top of the platforms, it would end up looking way better. Then we can add ourselves like a couple of small boys. And then I think I prefer the penguins over here, opposed to like having the penguins just like circled in the middle of the map, right? There we go. And we have ourselves like a little family of penguins up here in the water. And yeah, that definitely looks way better. All right, so now the next thing we want to do, what do I want to do with like these icicles? Like these ice pillars, I don't know how I feel about them. Like, I like them, but at the same time, like when you just have like one of them, it really doesn't make too much sense. So I think I want to make like a like ice pillar thing up here, like right here, and it'll go from over here all the way over here to the edge of the water. and that will also aid in like taking away from the like abrupt ending of the snow into the water. And there we go. I think that like adds a little bit more detail up here in the top of the map where we were kind of lacking with detail, right? So now the next thing I want to do, I want to start adding more detail, because right now we're still lacking with the detail, especially in this like wide open like snowy area. And what we can do to add a little bit more color is we can add ourselves like a couple more trees, because I feel what this map is like really missing is color. Like we have like the blues with the bears, we have the grays with the rocks, we have the blacks with the shade, but we're still missing like some greens. So if we add ourselves like a couple of these trees over here in like the corner of the map, I feel like it would really add to the contrast on this map. It would make this map look a little bit better. Now, one thing that he has that I really like is he had presents underneath all of these trees, but I don't know if I want to like put the presents way over here away from the house. Instead, I think I'll add like a Christmas tree in front of the house, but then again, the Christmas tree is a little bit out there. Maybe I'll just like make a smaller tree, and we'll have like a smaller tree over here, like in front of the house, and then we'll like put really small presents underneath the house or underneath this tree, and I think that would look really, really cool. Also, another prop that I want to work with is I want to work with like this really dark green shrub, and I want to use this shrub around the rocky area. There we go, and I think that looks really, really cool. It adds so much color to our map. Now the next thing we want to do, I want to start adding a little bit of detail to this giant blue lake. Now the first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and add like a ice shinny to this lake, and that's gonna instantly add something in the middle of the lake that makes sense to have there, right? All right, just by having like 2 ice shinnies on the water, I really feel like that brings a lot of life to our map, and I definitely feel like we needed like something like bright in the middle of the lake, because now what I want to do is I want to start adding like a little bit of like snow piles along like the edge of the lake, just like this, just like kind of like break up this like bright blue background. So what I'll do is I'll work with like a couple of the different colors here, and by working with a couple of these different colors, it'll help us like break up the transition from the white to like the light blue. So now the only thing I'm doing is I'm adding like a couple of snow piles like next to the house. After I like added a bunch of snow piles on the ice, I went ahead and I added like a couple around the map. I added some up here to like break up the color a bit, just to add a little bit more detail, and I feel like it turned out really, really well so far. Now the next thing I want to do, I want to add a little bit of snow on top of the roof, because I mean, if you're in the middle of like a snowy area, you're definitely going to have like snow piled up on your roof. So I feel like that's something that'll definitely like add a lot of detail to our map. All right, and I think that looks pretty good for like snow on top of the roof. Now, I'm debating on whether what I want to do for like the front of the house, because I mean, we have to have something in front of the house, or at least something in front of the doorway. Now, for the doorway, I wonder if I could just like get away with like using one of these crates. I think if we just use like one of these darker crates, then we like sink it into the ground, and then we have it like barely popping through the ground. I feel like that would look really, really cool for like not like a little patio, but for like a little, well, like actually, yeah, it would be like a little patio. It doesn't look perfect, but it doesn't look bad. It definitely like breaks up the like front of the door. And I think if we add like a couple of railings on this as well as we add like a little bit of snow on top of it too, I think that'll look really, really cool. So let me go ahead and find, I think I want to go with maybe like I think the white fence would look pretty good with this. So we'll go ahead and like grab, wait, no, we don't want the white fence. Let's just use the brown fence. So let's just go ahead and grab this fence like this. And then, yeah, I really like this. Like this definitely looks a little bit better. And then let's go ahead and grab ourselves a little bit of snow. And then we'll go ahead and make the snow kind of smaller. And then we'll go ahead and raise it up just a little bit, and we'll like put this snow right on the doorstep like this. And then we also want to add a little bit of snow on top of the post too. Hey, so far so good. I'm really liking the way that this is looking. Like the front porch even turned out a little bit better than I initially thought it would. Now the next thing I want to do, I'm looking through my map, and I'm trying to find something that we could do to add a little bit more detail. Now, one thing I'm a little bit worried about, I wanted to add like shade around these like glacial spikes, but I don't think I'm going to be able to because of the snow. So unfortunately, we're going to have to like not put any shade next to these glacial spikes, but that should be perfectly fine. I mean, it's not the end of the world. But now the next thing I want to do, I want to go ahead and come over here to the stamps icon. And then I want to add like a couple of stamps over here in the blue water, because it makes a little bit more sense to like have stamps over here opposed to like having like stamps in like the snow, right? But I'm not done with the snow just yet. So let's just go ahead and we'll add like ourselves like a couple of rocks over here, and that'll add a little bit more detail. And we'll add ourselves like a couple of rocks over here, a couple over here. And this is just to add a little bit of like small detail to the map, right? Now let's also grab a couple of like the snow pile stamps as well. And then with these like snow pile stamps, we'll just like randomly place them. We don't need to like place them anywhere in particular. I just want to like have like a couple of like stamps on the map, just in like spots that are like really barren. But all right, so far I think this is turning out really well. Let's go ahead. We'll grab we'll start adding a little bit of shade around all of our props, just to add a little bit of detail. Like we don't have to go like crazy with like the shade, because usually like snow, even in like the dark, like you won't get like a lot of shade, or even like when the sun's out, you won't get like a lot of like shady spots unless it's like really like right next to a building, or like in between two buildings. That's when you usually get like a lot of shade. But like when there's a lot of snow on the ground and there's not a lot of obstacles, you really won't have a lot of shade. But all right, guys, like I'm thinking this is looking pretty close to being done. Like I really like the way that this map is turning out so far. I want to go ahead and add something next to the snowman. Let's just go ahead and make it so the snowman is right on top of the snow pile. And there we go. And then let's also add like another snowman as well. Because like just having like one snowman, it feels like a little off. So we'll add like a couple of different snowmen, right? We'll have one over here, and then we'll also like place, let's actually do the dual snowman up here on the island. That way we can get a little bit more detail from the snowman. All right, guys, and I think this is gonna do it for our map. Like I really like the way that this is looking right now. Like I added a little bit of like the ice grass to just like add a little bit more detail in like the spots where it felt like we needed a little bit of something. And then I added let me see, what else did I add? I added a present in front of the door. Now unfortunately I did take the presents away from underneath the trees, but I feel like the presents like way over here away from the house, it really didn't make too much sense unless there was like another house like over here next to the water. Then I could like see like having presents underneath that tree. But for me, having one present in front of the door is more than enough. Now, one thing I'm a little bit like wary about, I almost want to add a little bit of shade underneath of these like ice shanties, but I'm kind of like not gonna do it. I almost want to do it, but I think it would look better if we didn't. And then I'm just looking around here, one last look throughout the map. And for the most part, guys, I think that should about do it for our remastered version of Cyan Rabbit's map. So now the last thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go ahead and choose some music for our map. And we're just going to choose Winter Nights because, I mean, Winter Nights is always a really nice soundtrack to go for winter maps. And then we also need to choose a background effect. And for the background effect, let's actually choose the blizzard, because I feel like the blizzard is a little bit better. Because it'll add a little bit more detail in this blue area where I feel like we're missing that extra something. And it'll also add a little bit more detail spread around the map. So now that we have everything picked out, the last thing we have to do is, of course, play our map. But before we play our map, we're going to go ahead and give this map a name. Now, I'm looking at this map, and the only thing that, like, pops in my head is, like, secluded. So I think I want to name this map Secluded Lake. Yeah, so I think Secluded Lake, it definitely fits the theme for this map. Because, like I was saying, there's, like, a lake out in the middle of nowhere. You have like polar bears up here, you have like one house, so I think that this name definitely suits this map. So now the last thing we have to do is of course play our map. Now as I mentioned before, this map it definitely isn't going to be too hard, but I did want to add a little bit of a different like challenge to this map. So I have two different pathways. I have one coming from this way, as well as I have a second one coming from where the other pathway is going to end. So it's not going to add too much of a challenge, but I thought that would be a fun little twist for this map instead of just having it like be a single lane map, right? Now, while we're beating Secluded Lake, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support on the series. You guys are absolutely crushing it. That being said, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also, if you guys are new around here, don't forget to subscribe as well, because I do upload quite a bit of BTD6 content. Also, if you guys have any ideas for maps that you guys would like to see me create, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. And if it sounds like a fun idea or something that I can make happen, I'll definitely make it happen. But all right, now this map, there's nothing really like too hard about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to round 39. And I'll see you guys on round 39. All right, dude, so here we are on round 39. So this map really wasn't difficult at all. I kind of expected it to be an easier map. I mean, for the most part, I mean, like the hardest round with this map is definitely going to be round 40. But then again, you just need to activate like a Moab Assassin. You'll easily be able to beat round 40. Now, if you guys would like to play this map for yourself, here is the map code. And let me know in the comments below what you guys would rate this map on a scale of 1 to 10 bananas. 1 being a bad map or 10 being a great map. But anyways, dudes, again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you dudes in the next one.